Cherokee, live and direct with another edition of the Entrepreneur Explosion interview process. Now, remember, I want to make this something that all of us participate in. So I'm making something special. It is cooked up. It is ready to go. It's hot off the press. Entrepreneur Explosion is built and designed to bring entrepreneurs of like-minded ventures together. So we all want to work together. We all want to network together because your net worth is involved in your network. So today, my special guest is the owner of Port Financial Services and is a great friend of mine as well, Mr. Bob Tassone. Bob Tassone, what's up? What's up, man?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Early in the morning.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Woo! But we here.
We're here.
We're here. So, you know what? First of all, I want to jump right in. Obviously, I know you well. I love you to pieces. You know you're my guy. I do have insurance with you. You are my representative. You are my agent. You keep me straight on business. But I want the public to understand one thing that I see a lot of entrepreneurs, especially young ones, new ones. When I say young, I'm not just talking about age-wise. I'm talking about people just getting their feet wet in the business world. They don't really know how insurance works, or they're afraid to go into it because they think they can't afford it. There's a lot of things that have come through my desk where I start, you know what, I can't wait to do this interview. Today is one of those days that I want to get people on the right track. So, if you don't mind, I know this is going to be something, but tell my audience how you got started, how long you've done it. You know, give us a little bit of overview on what brought you to create Port Financial Services.
Well, I started as a life insurance agent in the 1980s, and over the period of years became a multi-line agent where I did more than life insurance because clients asked about it. Really. It's just you would talk to them about one thing and they would say, well, can you help me with this? And so we decided to expand and become more of a well-rounded multi-line agency. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, most things happen because somebody else suggests it.
Yeah. I tell people that too. The best businesses that are created are usually out of necessity.
So you gotta listen. You gotta listen to them.
Yeah. Well, you know, first of all, a lot of times people get a little nervous when they talk about insurance agents. It's just like when it was when I did timeshare resorts. You know, people got, oh God, timeshare, you know. And then when they see that you're more service-oriented, service-driven, now all of a sudden that connection gets stronger. The connection gets stronger, and you become like family. As hokey as it might sound, I mean, I've been on vacations and cruises with my clients because I don't call them clients, first of all, they're family. And I know that you have a slogan that is amazing. And, you know, do no harm. It might be something short, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about the significance about those words. Do no harm.
Well, so I generally don't speak ill of my competition or whatever. I mean, 95% of the people that are out there are just perfectly fine, excellent insurance professionals. But there are some people that will suggest things to you that will be harmful. And that's what people are afraid of when you say, well, I know you came here to talk to me about this, but I like to look at everything you've got because what you don't know can hurt you. And sometimes there are little things that just maybe need a tweak or an adjustment.
Right.
But I promise to do no harm. In other words, if I see something that's good, I'll tell you that it's good.
Right.
I'm not going to take you from something that's good to something that's not so good.
Right.
But on the other hand, if I see something that's not so good, I might say, well, this would be better if you did it this way.
Right. You know, it brings me to, you know, we're business brothers in our network group, The Leading Edge. Shout out to Leading Edge. You did a 10-minute. And every time you do a 10-minute, for those of you out there that don't know what a 10-minute is, it's basically we take 10 minutes and we talk about our profession, and we allow people to ask questions, and we educate. Well, Bob is amazing at this. I'm not saying it because you're right here. You just are. You talked about several things on, basically life insurance. This week it was about life insurance. So if you don't mind, I want you to take us in. I know that this interview is going to be built around the entrepreneur explosion, but this is a part of the fabric of the entrepreneur explosion as it pertains to Port Financial Services. So talk about the different levels or the different things about life insurance.
Well, life insurance is a vehicle. It's a tool. It's designed to get you from point A to point B in your life, or in someone else's life if something happens to you. But it's just like any other financial instrument. It's different for each person. Most things in life are better if they're in balance.
Yes, definitely.
And so the balance with life insurance is having the proper amount of coverage at an amount that you can afford to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to be top heavy or light on either side. You don't want to be with not enough coverage.
Right.
But carrying more than you need, maybe not a good idea either. And then you don't want to be paying more than you can afford.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that could afford to really do it right, and they're not.
Right.
So
they're just like overlooking it, or just
yeah.
turning a blind eye to it.
Yeah. So it's a balance. Everything in life is got to be in balance for it to work right.
You talked about during the life insurance presentation. You talked about 3 reasons people own personal life insurance. You talked about the cash needs, income needs, and estate needs.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, so cash needs, pretty simple. You're leaving money in your life insurance policy for someone else to pay for something.
Right.
To pay for an education, to pay off a debt, to pay off a mortgage, or to make a mortgage payment.
Right.
It's not always a good idea to pay off the mortgage.
Right.
But there's a need for cash. And so that's the way most people think about it.
Right.
They think, well, my mortgage is $250,000, so I need a $250,000 policy. It's a very simple way to calculate how much life insurance I need.
Right.
But there can be more to it than that. And so we'll give you some other things to think about. But that's what cash needs is, just X number of dollars I think I need.
Right.
Income need, well, it's a whole different story, because when you start thinking about the income that a person generates, it takes a lot of capital, cash, to generate income.
Right.
Now we're in an environment where interest rates over the past year or so, 2 years, have gone up. But before that, interest rates were like 1% at a bank.
Right.
For a CD, you were lucky to get 2%.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of capital to generate income when there's no interest return. Now you can talk to somebody like our friend John about generating income other ways than having it in the bank. I realize that, but still, a lot of times people are concerned about safety.
Right.
So that's got to be in balance too.
Right.
But $1 million at 5% generates $50,000 a year.
Right.
It's not. So it takes a lot of money to generate an income perpetually.
Right.
But even if you look at using principal and interest, it takes a lot.
Right. So what about the estate needs?
Okay, so the estate need is not for everyone, whereas usually cash needs, income needs applies to almost everyone. If something happens to me, I'm the goose that lays the golden eggs. I'm not here. I'm not laying any eggs anymore.
Right.
But with estate planning needs, it could be, the example that I use is mom and dad own a business. They have 3 children. So let's say this is a hardware store and two of the children are interested in continuing running the hardware store, but there's another child who is not interested in hardware at all.
Right.
But they want the estate to be equal. So they're saying, well, this hardware store is worth $2 million. Let's make the numbers easy. These two children will leave the hardware store to them, so it's $1 million each of worth. For this other child, we need to create $1 million, or, if we don't have it in some other place.
Right.
Let's say there's $500,000 of other assets. We need a $500,000 policy to make things equal.
Right.
And that is a permanent need for life insurance, because that is something that will affect those children at the point that the parents die, regardless of when it is.
Right. So, the business life insurance needs.
Okay.
You talked about key persons, and I love that stuff about key because I personally am in that realm and been there with multiple companies that I have. But talk about that a little bit.
Well, so if you have any type of a business where you have employees, there are some employees that can be replaced in 15 minutes. There are some employees that seem to be irreplaceable.
You're right. Right.
And so you say, well, what would I ever do without this person?
Right.
Well, most problems can be solved, or at least softened, alleviated by money.
Yes.
So if you have a key person that's doing a key function in your business, you lose that person, you have money to hire someone else to do what that person is doing, or you have money to search for that person,
right,
to replace them. That's a key person insurance.
Right.
Key man, key woman, key person, however you want to.
Key person, right. And you talked about the buy and sell agreements for the stock options, and all of these, I just remember vividly the stories because it's really important the way you spoke about it, the third party story, explaining how.
Well, the example that I use is a real life example.
Yeah, it is.
I have a client in Hampton that has a shop, automobile shop, repair shop, and Joe is the smiling face when you come in, and he's the one that most of the time talks to the customers.
That's where the relationship is.
And he makes the relationships, and he's the one that makes people feel comfortable. And he's the one that makes sure that the books are right and that the taxes are paid and all the things like that. But he doesn't know that much about cars. He knows enough about them to talk to his customers about them, but when it gets right down to it, he's not going to take that car apart and put it back together.
You're not turning wrenches.
That's not his deal.
Right.
On the other hand, Jim in the back, he's a wizard. He can take the car apart and put it back together just like Goober. Okay? But he's not that good with people. And he doesn't know anything about the books. But he trusts Joe to take care of that.
Right.
And so they form a partnership. And most of the times when there's a partnership, there's two or more people that have different strengths, different qualities. That's why they form the partnership, because it would be great if we worked together, because you're good at this and I'm good at that. And if we put it together, we're stronger as a team than we would be individually.
Yes. We saw that last night, didn't we? In the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Right? When neither team was willing to give up anything, And in those little mistakes, a team can capitalize on it because you got somebody that's really good with not just their arm but with their legs, and they put them both together in the drive that it really needed to be done. The trust was there.
So let's go back to key man. Let's say that something happens to the smiling face out front.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guy in the back, he needs to replace that person. That's a key man or key person.
Right.
And so it could take some time. It could take some effort. It could take some money to find that person. Key man or key person insurance. But there's another problem there because they own this company 50-50. And so now the guy in the back is in business with the estate of the guy in the front.
Mm-hmm.
It could be his wife, it could be his children,
Mm-hmm.
could be anybody. If he didn't have a close family, he could be in business with some nephew in Nebraska.
Right. Right.
Okay? And that's not a good situation for him to be in.
Not at all.
Because they're usually the estate is trying to preserve value, whereas if you're in business, you're trying to grow value most of the time.
Right.
Trying to grow things.
Right.
Your business is trying to make it bigger, better.
Right.
So there's a conflict there, and besides, you're in business with somebody that doesn't know how to do anything that the first person knew how to do. So a buy-sell agreement is an agreement that the two partners would make where they agree, if something happens to me, my estate will sell my shares to you in exchange for an amount of money that would go to them, and that's oftentimes created by a life insurance policy.
Right. Okay.
So it's a buy-sell life insurance scenario.
So, okay. I know I hear you talk all the time, but I want the followers to hear this because a lot of them really need to hear this, and they don't meet you face to face a lot of times. You and I spend time together. I talked about my circle of influences, and I want to share you with the public, with the groups that can't just sit down with you just like that all the time, right? What do you suggest the new entrepreneurs, new business people, maybe even just people in general, but what do you suggest they do to get on the right road and right path for the insurances? All these different insurances that you have the angles for.
Well, my suggestion is to create a board of directors, not a formal board of directors, not a board of directors that owns
Right.
part of your company, although that could be possible. But a board of directors would be a good attorney,
Mm-hmm.
a good banker, a good insurance agent, a good accountant.
Mm-hmm.
You could start with those four, and maybe other people, a
Right.
good coach.
Thank you.
There, different businesses would have different needs for their board of directors, but you have to have people that you can call on for advice, and you have to build a relationship. It's just like if I take my car somewhere, I have a relationship with them, then I'm not so concerned that they're going to.
To try to get you.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So you build a relationship.
Yes.
Because they want you to come back.
Yes.
And you want to know that you can come back and get honest advice.
Yes. So important. That's one of the reasons why I like to refer people to you. Obviously, I'm a client of yours myself, and I really want you guys to know that I'm not bringing anybody on this live that I don't personally deal with on some level, some form. And Bob is amazing because he doesn't just look at his own pocket. He really does take the time to look at what you bring to him and what you want to get out of it, and then he actually does the legwork for you. So you don't have to be stressed out. You go do what it is that you do well and allow him to do what he does well. Now, back to what the original interview is about, but I love this because I needed to get this done, and you're one of the ones that I wanted to do the front load on. Let's talk about this entrepreneur explosion. Obviously, you've been to both of them, right? And we're getting ready to do our third, right?
Mm-hmm.
Third annual. How did you feel about the explosion? Would you recommend it to people? And if you would, who would you recommend the explosion to? First of all, talk to your experience about the explosion from 2022 and last year.
Well, it's all about, we just talked about relationships. You're not going to make a relationship if you're locked up in a bunker somewhere. And as we learned through COVID, it's possible to make relationships this way, electronically.
Right.
But there's nothing like just being there with somebody in person.
That's right.
And so the entrepreneur explosion and events like them give you the opportunity to meet people firsthand. Mm-hmm. And I know in that environment, there was plenty of time for however long you wanted to talk to somebody, as long as they were interested in talking to you.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
There's a lot of chit chat and stuff going on, and if you don't have a lot going on, then you walk over and talk to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean that's what it's all about.
Have you witnessed the scaling from 2022 to 2023?
I think the scaling was there were more people the second time. Mm-hmm. In fact, I spoke with you about it. Maybe you need a bigger place, but you're going to try and make it work again with this.
Tentatively, yes.
You know,
but I am prepared to go
there
to a bigger.
There are advantages and disadvantages to everything and everywhere. But
right.
But yeah, it was. You might need to think about your layout a little different or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
They have tables that are narrower.
Yeah, and we may go that route. Because it's a good problem to have, actually.
You know, which give you a little more walking space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Hey, look.
I don't know.
Well, one of the things we talked about, which we have implemented this year in the way of, and I'll give you guys a little bit of the cat out of the bag situation, because there's some of these entrepreneurs that are watching, and they're coming to this year's. They didn't come to last year's, and obviously not the first, but they want to come to this one. This event, to watch it grow to what it has grown to because of the people like yourself that participate in it, and I thank you guys all the time, because that's what I want to do, is build. And we're going to have the speaker speak a full 2 hours before we open the door, before we let the clients and the customers in. Because normally we just say, hey, the first year was about the vendors. The second year we introduced, like you said, there was more people, because we had people come in. They flew in from Texas, from New York. They were coming in from all over the place. Maryland, upper Northern Virginia. And there were people that were right there that live in the community that came over. So what I said I'm going to do is to make sure that we get to know each other with the new ones. A lot of us are veterans. We know each other from the first two entrepreneur explosions, which is really nice to see the same faces. And then we got new vendors. So we went from 22 to 50. And I'm thinking, like you said, I'm in position to make sure that we have a different location if it's absolutely necessary. But the 50 is what I'm after the first time, because that was a really good number. And then we're going to open the doors up. So when the doors open up, we won't have people speaking like we did when we talked about that at the end of the last explosion. And I thank you, because you were very instrumental with me, which is what I wanted with everybody. But I knew you would do it, because we're just like that when we talk. What are you looking forward to with this year's explosion, with 2024?
Just the same opportunity to meet new people and to get to know people that we've seen before better. That's all I really expect. Is I saw you last year. I see you again. How you been? How's your business?
Hey, how the kids?
Yeah. Nice to see you. We haven't met before, have we?
Right. I also love that you brought Tab with you.
Yeah, she had fun.
Yeah, I got to fun.
She likes that.
I'm getting her involved this year somehow, because she kept asking me, "Is there anything you need me to do?" And I was like, "Where were you when we did this?" Because I love her energy. You know that. And I want to tell everybody, you guys are horse lovers and you own horses, and I love watching her and you interact with these horses. And you know, of course, my wife is a big horse lover, and so am I. But you know, a little different because I got thrown for one when I was little, so I got to work my
We're
way.
not in balance.
No. But it was so much fun watching you guys perform together and watching her, you know, jump in. It makes it fun. That's what I look at with the Entrepreneur Explosion. It not just, the work is in putting everybody together, getting everybody together, making sure the checks are written out and you got the room and you got the tables and you got all that stuff. Business side of it. But when we all come together, it's fun to watch, like you said, people willing to meet new people and not getting cliquish. That's the thing I don't like, right? And I watched Tab work that room like nobody's business. You hear me?
Yeah.
Come up to the stage, give a little testimonial for AC Masters, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. She's passionate about something. She will say it.
Yes. Well, you know I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know
she has a hard time keeping her passion inside.
Oh, we're not keeping that locked up. We let it go. But yeah, you know, and that's the beautiful thing. Tell our viewers how they can reach you, because they're going to have questions about this insurance, whether it's life insurance, whether it's business insurance, and I hope they're going to come out and see you at the Explosion, but that's 10 months away, you know.
Well, my phone is 757-870-3521. If you want to learn more about me, my website is port-insurance.com. And that's the best way to contact me, is call me, or you can contact me through the website.
And I want to show you guys something. That's my guy. And just so you know how beautiful this is done, you heard me talk about the horses, but inside, you know, you got the bio. It's a beautiful magazine. Beautiful magazine. Very informative. But look. This is what I'm showing them. You guys say, what is he showing? You know, we talked about the horses. I mean, it's just beautiful. But guys, seriously, we have to structure our businesses and our lives better. Some of us have to get in balance, like we just talked about. And there's nothing better than to know that you have the right insurances. And I'm talking about your auto insurance, your home insurance, your life insurance, every insurance, your business. You need to know you're carrying the right amount. One thing that Bob has taught me, and in my group, in our group, several groups, I've watched him do this for over the years, is sometimes we go after the cheap way. And then we pay for it when you're in the accident. You wish you had better coverage. Is a story that you talk about before we leave out, if you don't mind, because there's.
I gotta remember which story.
That's okay. I'm gonna tell you about it because it's really serious. You talked about somebody being in an accident and thinking that their deductible was great and their coverage was great because it was like $250 deductible and it was built around 30,000. And what could happen when the jaws of life have to come out there and the helicopters have to come out there. If you don't mind, because I just remember this story like in the.
Well,
it's always there with
people just concentrate on the deductible. What am I going to have to pay if something happens? And they don't think about the big picture, where if you're in an accident and somebody's really hurt, the liability limit that you have is really what's most important. Mm-hmm. Because if you've got the state minimum liability limit of $30,000, something like that, that may not be enough to get them to the hospital.
Right. You talked about the helicopter flight was like, was it 28,000 by itself?
Well, it just depends. Depends on what they do and how far they take you.
Right.
But those helicopter flights are usually in the tens of thousands of dollars, just the flight. Mm-hmm.
And if you're in the ICU for any number of days, that could be 25,000, 30,000
So if you go into the ICU, you don't usually just go in there for a few hours.
Right, you're going in there for days.
If you're going in the ICU, you're hurt bad. You're going to stay there for a while.
Yes. And you're getting charged by the day.
Yeah. And so it adds up very fast. And then if they have to do surgery or some other intervention, tests, it's very expensive. And that can be your responsibility. And there's no such thing as being uninsured.
Right.
You're self-insured. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the right insurance, then you become self-insured, which means everything that you own and everything that you earn is up for grabs.
Mm-hmm. I really wanted you to say that to the group because there's a lot of people, they duck and dodge, and like you said, they take the lowest way out. They don't even realize that you may not have to spend an awful lot to have that kind of coverage.
Yeah.
But if they don't know, they don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely want people to get to you. So one more time before we leave out, tell the public how they can reach you.
Just give me a call, 757-870-3521. That's the best way to reach me.
Yes.
Leave me a message, send me a text, call me, whatever. It's fine.
And we are going to be posting how to get to Mr. Bob Tassone. You know, thank you so much for getting on this interview for me. I know that we talk on a regular basis. We are office mates as well. And it's just fun. It's a beautiful thing to build with people that you trust and they trust you. It's hard, guys, to let guards down. And I'm not telling you to let your guards down. What I'm asking you to do is be open-minded enough to at least ask the hard questions, find out those answers, and then pick what's best for you. But if anybody, let me ask you something real quick before we go, because I have people that follow me all over the country, right? Your license and you being able to, you know, help them with insurance, is it just the state of Virginia, or is there other states that you can work with as well?
Most of what I do is in Virginia. I'm licensed in a few other states.
Okay.
I just got my Florida license because of a client.
What states are you licensed in?
So right now, I think Florida, Kentucky, Maryland, North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio. I think that's all.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
But you know, if it's significant client, I can become licensed in that state most of the time.
Right. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you hear it. I don't know if you guys got any questions up there for them today. If not, shoot them through. We'll make sure you get them answered. But make sure you educate yourself on these insurances, on all of them. Because one of the things that I love about Bob is that he can actually bundle your insurances. He can put everything together so they're not all over the place. And funnel it so you go out and do what it is that you do best, and you're being taken care of on that back end. You know, and that's important. That's what is necessary. I thank you guys all for getting on this live. I hope you had a great experience. I had a great experience. I love the interview, and I thank you for getting on here with me, Bob. And thank you guys for showing up and watching this live. And for those of you that are teeter-tottering on coming to the Entrepreneur Explosion for 2024, November 16th, that's a Saturday, November 16th, 2024. Don't play with it. And remember, you are what you hang around. So if you want to elevate your life, elevate the people that surround you. Change your circle. Change your circle if you're not getting what you want out of it. Can't change others. You got to change you. With that being said, get out there. Give it your best. Don't settle for less. And like always and forever, let God do the rest. Peace. And I'll see you on top.